One of my favourite kinds of shows to watch while growing up were game shows. Specifically ones involving wacky obstacle courses like Funhouse with Pat Sharp and Takeshi's Castle with the awesome voiceover work of Craig Charles. You would think that the subject of obstacle courses would translate well to video games. Well, there were some good ones and some not so good ones. So in honour of the awesome looking Fall Guys coming out next year, which is clearly inspired by great shows like Takeshi's Castle, I'm going to be looking at 5 games that feature obstacle courses. Gladiators was another one of my favourite shows to watch when I was a kid. The American version had its own game released on the NES in 1991. Playing it now, I've discovered how terrible I am at this game, and I can't imagine it was easy for any kid sitting down with it in the 90s. One of the stages you have to climb a wall with other gladiators trying to knock you off, and for the life of me I cannot figure out how to get through this part here. My body just doesn't fit through the gap. After all the stages of the game, you finally tackle the last stage, which is an obstacle course much like the show. You'll have to constantly avoid these red balls flying at you as you jump across platforms, use this thing and zipline towards the end. For anyone outside of the US, Nickelodeon Guts was an action sports game show where 3 kids battled against each other in different events. To cash in on the popularity of the show, a game was released on the Super Nintendo in 1994. Much like Gladiators, you go through different stages and events, one of which is this course you have to navigate. You swing and climb on ropes, you jump over water in between platforms, all while trying to find the end of the course. It took me a while to figure out how to grab onto these poles, and for some reason it's really difficult to grab onto a rope when you're standing right next to it. I think if you're a big fan of the TV series, it might be worth checking out, but for me, the game needs to remain in the past. With the help of the Wii balance board, Wii Fit aimed to get you off the sofa and lose some weight. With the aid of some fun games, you can burn off a fair amount of calories. In the Wii Fit Plus edition of the game, there were more added minigames, one of which was the obstacle course. You lightly step on the board to move your character forward and bend and extend your legs to jump. It takes a bit of getting used to, but once you've got it down, you'll be flying through each stage. You almost feel like you're in a Mario level. Jumping over logs and onto moving platforms, it's clear that Mario was a big influence for the design of the levels. There's also an obstacle course in Wii Fit U, but I've never played it as I was one of the many people to pass on the Wii U system. Another game based off a TV show, the Ultimate Red Ball Challenge, is based off the show Total Wipeout, which also has a US version. Now after picking this one up for 50p, it's clear to see that it's going to be a low effort cash in for the TV show, and one of the many shovelware titles that's plagued the Nintendo Wii. But hey, let's give it a chance for the sake of this video. So booting up the game, you're greeted by Richard Hammond, the presenter of the UK version of the show. You pick one of the disturbing looking characters and you begin the show. It becomes apparent straight away that the controls are awful. Even when you're running on a flat surface, your character wobbles all over the place like they've just stumbled out of a pub after 10 pints. You'll also discover that half the gameplay is based on QuickTime events. Now this is tolerable for button pressers, but when it involves waggling the Wii remote and nunchuck, the game really struggles to pick up my movements. It took me ages to complete this section of the game, where you have to jump over this swinging log, just because there's so much of a delay from when you move your controller to when the character actually jumps. So sadly the game was as bad as I expected, and it seems America got a better version of it with their Wipeout games on the Wii and Wii U. That's not to say they're any good, just that they're better than this game. Actually, their version of the game reminds me of something else. This is what our Wipeout game should have been like. Doritos Crash Course was released for free on the Xbox Live Arcade in 2010. The game is a platformer, heavily inspired by Wipeout and Ninja Warrior. You play as your Xbox Live avatar through 3 different locations with 5 levels each. Obstacles include trampolines, swinging hammers, conveyor belts and water balloons. The gameplay is tight, making levels addictive to play and to beat your times on. If you hold down the trigger button, your character will run, but hold it too long and they'll fall over. The game has added Xbox Live features such as being able to post high scores to online leaderboards and to play against your friends head to head. The game received a sequel in 2013 that was also free to play. Doritos Crash Course was a fun and addictive obstacle course game and probably the most enjoyable game on this list. Thank you for watching this video on 5 games that feature obstacle courses. Let me know in the comments your favourite TV shows with obstacle courses, and I'll catch you in the next video.